Hello there. Today, I want to talk about what are the two key ingredients for a successful first play therapy session. These two things are important throughout the play therapy treatment process, and they're really important for the first two sessions. The first session. So that's what I want to talk about today. Um, and Full disclosure, my dog Lily is in the room again today, and she has been playing what my husband and I call the in and out game. So, what's the in and out game? The in and out game is I scratch the door, so you let me in. But then I don't want to stay in, so I scratch the door, so you let me out. And then I scratch the door, so you let me in. And then I scratch the door, so you let me out. So if you hear this weird scratching or panting sound in the background, that is my crazy dog Lily playing the in and out game. Hey, Jody, how are you? How are you? How are things there on the East Coast? So here's the thing, Jody. We have been having temperatures in the mid 70s here in the desert, and it is fabulous. And I've been thinking about you guys there on the East Coast, and I was thinking, oh, it must be nice wearing sweaters. I do kind of miss wearing sweaters. And I saw your photos of the museum. That brought back some fond memories. So I'm glad you're joining today. All right, so I want to talk about Jody, you have this one mastered. There is not a doubt in my mind what I'm going to be talking about. So if you guys didn't know, on LinkedIn, I met Jody on LinkedIn, and we've chatted, and we're from the same area on the East Coast. Anyway, Jody does this awesome thing called mindfulness painting. And if you are a mental health professional, I would highly guarantee you take her mindfulness painting class if you're in the Virginia area. I don't know, Jody, if you're going to be doing them online again like you were during the pandemic. Anyways, they look awesome. And one of these days, I am going to take a mindfulness painting class because I could totally use a mindfulness painting class. Anyway, so today I want to talk about what I believe are the two really important things to make sure that we do from the very first session. And that's what I want to talk about today. So if you are watching live, go ahead and, Jody said her classes are virtual too. That is awesome. So if you're watching live, go ahead and post your name in the comments. I'd love to see who's here. Post where you're from, what population you work with. Do you do play therapy? Jody does mindfulness painting. So go ahead and post in the comments. And if you are watching, and while you're posting, I'm Kathy Spooner. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, a registered play therapist supervisor, and I have almost 30 years working in the mental health field with children, adolescents, and families. One of my favorite modalities to use is play therapy and expressive arts, because I really do believe it's a really powerful way to help children and even adolescents and adults. I do these things with adults as well, to engage and go really deep into the change and the healing process. So I go live every week, 7 a.m. Pacific time here in the US on LinkedIn, and in my private Facebook group, Play and Expressive Arts Therapy Playground, and YouTube. So if you're watching from there and you find this helpful, please like and share it across your social media platforms. All right. And My dog is playing the in and out game, so you could probably hear her. I'm gonna let her out. Oh, good. Jody posted her website on there. All right, now my crazy dog Lily is no longer in the room. If you hear crazy scratching in a few minutes, like I said, she's playing the in and out game this morning, my crazy little dog. All right, so what are the two ingredients that are really important for the first play therapy session? They're important throughout the play therapy session, and they're really important for the first session, first two or three, to be honest. And that is being fully present and connected, that therapeutic rapport, creating that therapeutic space, in a safe space, free and protected space. We give it a lot of names, is really important. Now, I would even say that just being fully present and fully attuned and connected with your client is I think we could make the case that it's even more important than what interventions you choose, because we are working on creating that free and protected space where our clients can feel safe, they can feel accepted, they can experience that unconditional positive regard that's going to help them feel comfortable to open up and go to those deeper levels that we need them to go in the therapy process in order for the healing to occur. And change is painful. Dealing with those areas in our lives that are challenging us, those are painful. So that's why in my mind, that first session from the very first get-go is really important to establish that sense of safety with our clients in the play therapy process. So think about it this way. So imagine let's say you have a 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year old client. It's the very first session. They've never met you because let's just say when you were doing the diagnostic intake process, you just met with the parents or the caregivers to make sure that you got all of the good information that you need for case conceptualization and formulating that treatment plan. And so this is the very first session. You've met with your clients. They've never met you. They don't know who you are. They're sitting in the waiting room. They've never been to counseling before. They have no idea what to expect. They kind of know that they're coming because they've been bad or they're having a hard time or they're not doing well. I think even when parents explain it like we're going to help, I think that does help the way parents present the why they're bringing their child. And I also still think they sit in the waiting room anxious about how it's going to work, not sure what it's going to be like, not sure if this person, this stranger they're going to meet is nice or mean, or they're used to school. They're used to school and being evaluated whether or not they're doing a good job. So they naturally kind of put that same paradigm onto the therapy process. So they're sitting in the waiting room. They've never met you. They're anxious. They're thinking they're coming because they've been bad or they know they've been having a hard time. They're pretty sure they're going to talk a lot and they're going to expect it to be giving answers that they don't necessarily know what the answers are, because for real, if they knew what was going on, they could probably fix it, but they don't know. They don't have the words. And so they're thinking there's some kind of expectation for them, and they're going to have to do something or talk. Um, so they're sitting out there, they're anxious, and out come you as a therapist, and you're bringing them back. So to me, um, establishing that therapeutic rapport with them, creating that safe environment helps them understand what the expectations are, helps them understand how everything works, And if you haven't watched previous live episodes, in the 2 or 3 previous episodes, I talked about how to structure the very first session, how to introduce the playroom, the frequency and pacing of the play therapy sessions based on the developmental needs of your client. So if I've talked about those in a previous live episode, so you can always watch the replays on those. And I do have a YouTube channel. It seems to me they're kind of really easy to find on my new YouTube channel. I could put that link in the comments if you're not watching from YouTube. And in my Facebook group, they're pretty easy to find in my Facebook group. They're a little harder to find on LinkedIn. You have to scroll through my activity feed. Um, so you can find those previous episodes in the replays. Today, I really just want to talk about the importance of creating that sense of safety through being fully present and connected with our clients. Um, because here's the thing, even from a neurobiology standpoint, um, from a neurobiology standpoint, we our neurocircuits are what Stephen Porges calls them neuroception circuits. So the neuroception circuits are essentially working all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we don't necessarily, they're beyond they operate without our conscious awareness. So that the job of these neuroception circuits is to keep us alive. So they're constantly scanning for danger. So we can assume with almost 100% accuracy that our clients' neuroception circuits, when they're sitting in that waiting room for the very first session, not knowing what's going to happen or if they're going to be judged, they're highly anxious, or they're already defensive because they hate it and they didn't want to come. Their neuroception circuits are activated, which means they're on alert. In order for children, even adults, to really engage in the therapeutic change process, engage in that therapeutic rapport, their neuroception circuits have to be disengaged so that they can engage their social engagement circuits. And the play circuitry does not get activated until those social engagement circuits are activated. So there, even from a neurobiology standpoint, that safety and security, that sense of feeling valued and accepted, no danger present, is critical for helping them to engage. And some children and people are slower to warm up to people, so it may take them a few sessions. Some kids get started right away. They don't need much help. They'll just take one look at the playroom and think they have died and gone to heaven and they're in nirvana. So they'll engage pretty quickly, but their engagement with you as the therapist still may take a little bit of time because they're still trying to check out how it works. My husband just let my dogs in. You may hear barking. You may hear you may hear the barking. So it'll take a little bit of time, even for kids who engage pretty quickly, because they're still trying to figure out the expectations and how that works. So the goal, in my opinion, for that very first session is really creating that sense of safety and security. And you don't necessarily need to have a an intervention planned out. Maybe I usually like to try to do like a low, I call them low challenge, just something easy, getting to know us kind of thing. To me, the more important part is just being fully present with them and getting connected. So how do we do that? The way that I think about it is being fully present in the moment. It's kind of a mindfulness term. And what that means is that I am fully present on purpose in the moment. You have my attention. I'm focused in the moment. I'm focused on you. I'm reading your cues of your comfort level with me. I'm adjusting myself as needed to help you feel comfortable. If you're I've had some kids who really need some time to warm up, so I go really slow. Some kids need to engage and talk with me, so I will be attuned to them and I will engage and talk with them. Some kids are quieter, and so they need a slower pace and they just want to check out the room. And if I'm talking, that's going to be kind of annoying, so I may be a little bit more quiet. um, the key there is that I want to be attuned. I want to tap into what Daniel Siegel calls my resonant circuits. And those resonant circuits are, um, he calls it connecting mind to mind. And we connect and even physiologically resonate with the other person that we're engaged with. So we're picking up on facial cues. We're tuning into emotions. We are adjusting to that because we are able to get that sense of what's going on for them, and that's going to help them um, feel more comfortable because we're respecting their needs in that moment. And the ability, and that's also going to help with that ability to get connected with them, for them to feel comfortable because they can see that I'm moving at their pace, and that creates more comfort. And that's going to help to deactivate those neuroception circuits. So those to me, one of the things that I have noticed with, um, and you guys tell me if you're watching, if you've experienced this as well, because I know for me, when I was first getting started, I experienced this too. We all do. I think it's especially when we're just getting started, we don't know. And I don't know about you, but I was anxious about doing a good job and I didn't know what I was doing and I was trying to figure it out. One of the things that I've noticed that even mostly it's new therapists is that they kind of rush to rush to help their client feel comfortable rather than trusting that being fully present and connected in the moment, that in and of itself and the confidence of that ability will help your client feel comfortable because they're going to be picking up on your cues as well and getting a sense of what's going on as well. So, one of the things that I find is that new therapists will, in an effort to help their client, kind of rush to kind of fix the client's discomfort. And that that's more about me being feeling like I'm doing a good job to fix it for you rather than trusting in that moment, being fully present and connected and tuned, moving at my that in and of itself will help my client to feel comfortable because then I'm tuned in and adjusting as needed. So of course I want to have some kind of activity or some kind of a plan for that first session. And I'll usually do a low, I call them low challenge activity. The key, though, for the first session, in my opinion, is that we are more focused on just being fully present and tuned in to our clients because that's really going to help them feel more comfortable. And if I kind of rush in to fix it, I may not be picking up on the right cues and I may be rushing them faster than they're comfortable being rushed. The other thing is, I get a lot of good information just by observation and being tuned in of what's going on with my client and kind of how they work, what their, I call it their wiring, how their wiring works. So to me, my ability to just be fully present and connected and feel confident in that in the first session, not only helps my client to engage more fully, it also helps me to pick up on what's going on with my client. And then I can adjust as I need to and figure out what most likely will be effective interventions for my client, how fast or slow the pacing can go, and those kinds of things. So those are my tips. Those are two of the most important things. And I think once we kind of settle into that confidence, that being fully present and connected in that moment, being attuned is is highly effective, then I think we can kind of settle down and trust the process a little bit more. So, just as a recap, you communicate safety and security with your nonverbal presence in the playroom with confidence in the client's ability to engage in the session. And, and that can be, and I would say in the first session, it's even more important than actually what you say or what you choose, what intervention you choose. Although I do think it's important to make sure that interventions are low challenge for that first one. Because that can either help or hinder your client to feel safe and secure in that session. Because again, think about it from a neuroscience standpoint. They're coming in, neuroception circuits engaged, scanning the environment for danger, and those will only be deactivated when they feel safe. And when they feel safe and a little more comfortable, then their social engagement circuits can engage. And the play circuits can really only engage when the social engagement circuits are engaged. And if we're using any kind of expressive arts and play therapy, a great way to see if they've engaged in the process, if they're feeling safe and secure, is seeing how they approach the play process or the expressive arts process. So you'll see that in things like I'll use Jody as an example. I'm sure you see this, Jody, when people are first getting started with the painting. If they've never done it before, and maybe you're, I don't know if you work with children, but if you work with children and you have an activity, they're going to be really hesitant to engage in the process. Typically, they'll be kind of scanning the room, they'll look at you, their body language will be a little hesitant, they'll be unsure. They typically need a lot of encouragement in the beginning that it'll be okay. Nobody's grading their artwork or their play. It's not like school in here. It does, we're not grading artwork. And I'll give the example, I draw stick people. So it's more about having fun doing it and enjoying the process and using it to kind of help you explore things. So that's how we'll know when they can begin to do that. You'll see their body relaxed. You'll see them engage more in the expressive arts or the play more fully. And that'll give you an idea that their social engagement circuits have been activated and their play circuitry has been activated. And being fully present helps to establish that. I really think that cannot be underscored enough. Just fully present in the moment, connected, tuned in, helps you tap into and better understand what's going on with your client. And then you can use that information to help you with your clinical decision making about pacing and interventions and who's involved, all of those kinds of things. And that unconditional acceptance of who they are and helping that's that acceptance and empathy, that unconditional positive regard, being fully present and attuned in the moment. That's going to help them to feel more comfortable, feel safe, emotionally safe to engage in the change process. And that's your quiet confidence And that's what you communicate to your client, that quiet confidence of, I know you've got this. I know you can do this. You don't say those things necessarily, but your whole way of being communicates that to your client as well. And then we don't rush in to fix things when it's not necessarily going to be the most helpful thing to do for that client. And it helps you to show up authentically in the session with your client. So here's the thing, and I've talked about this in a previous live stream episode. I talk about this a lot in my supervision as well. A lot more in the supervision. I do talk about it a little bit in the trainings that I do, mostly in the supervision group that I provide and people that I provide individual supervision with as well, is just showing up authentically. What does that look like? Helping them that unconditional positive regard. It doesn't mean there aren't any boundaries. We still need to structure the sessions. And I've talked about that in previous live stream episodes. So you can watch the replay on those if you wanted to catch up. We do still structure it because structuring in and of itself creates a sense of safety and security. You kind of know what the expectations are. You don't want to be rigid because that's not going to create a safe space, and we want it to be structured so we can authentically show up in the session and be who we are, because we bring all of who we are into the therapeutic process. With therapy, though, we just have to make sure we're holding professional boundaries, and that's always the key of how am I authentically showing up in the session within the professional parameters. But that authenticity in the session, being fully present in the moment, and that helps with the connection, that authenticity that we bring to the therapeutic process. So that is it for today. My dogs have been kind of crazy. I don't know if you heard them in the background. So if you're interested, I have a free PDF. It's called the B5 Framework. Um, I'll put a link in the comments. You can also find this free PDF on my website. So if you want to go there as well, that's my website, rrhcounseling.com. There's a PDF on there. There's some other PDFs on there in case you're interested in this. But the B5 framework is really a neuroscience and attachment informed way of being, B5, way of being in the therapeutic process based on neuroscience and attachment to help create that safe therapeutic space and the clinical decision-making process. So that's the B5 framework. If you're interested in that, I'll post that in the comments. It's also on my website, rrhcounseling.com. And that's information if you're interested in my online play therapy supervision group. I think I have one spot left in there. You can contact me about that. But the B5 framework, you can find that on my website, and I will post it in the comments. All right, that is it for today. Bye for now.